Welcome to the Minx Muse podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Minx, creatrix of Minx Muse, a fiercely feminine playhouse that cultivates self-discovery and empowerment through classes, workshops, and events centered around esoerotic dance, transformative movement, and mystical exploration. During this podcast, I'll be having candid conversations with fiercely feminine witches, seductresses, and dark goddesses living in Austin, Texas. Welcome, Miss O'Kist, to the Minx Muse podcast.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm very excited to speak with you. And what are we drinking today?
I believe it is hipster ginger beer.
Hipster ginger beer, only the best ginger beer.
It is. It is actually really good.
Good.
So thank you for that.
Yes, cheers, my dear. Thank you for coming on. Let's start off with the important question. How would you sum yourself up in one sentence or less?
Or less. Oh my gosh.
You can use the full sentence, and it can be a run-on sentence.
All right, run-on sentence. I'd say I'm a burlesque performer, a designer, a fine artist, and general cat lover, fancy pants, and maker of literally everything.
I agree with that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because I'm so enchanted by you, of all the creative work that you do, and I don't know how you have the time to do it all. So let's break it down. What are all of your, we can say, current-ish creative pursuits?
Things I'm working on right now.
Let's say maybe over the past 6 months, things so that would just be an average thing that you work on at any given time.
I'm currently doing a lot of latex stuff, burlesque costumes, working on my dancewear line, teaching myself how to make shoes, leather work, and China painting is another one I've been doing a lot. I gotta have hobbies, and my work seems so I'm things I don't sell, like shoes and painting teacups.
And you also dance?
Yep. And then, burlesque. I'm getting back into lyra and pole after some injury.
You also produce shows?
We produce shows. I'm working on a big show right now, which is going to be June 1st.
Oh, what kind of show?
That one's a burlesque one with my troupe Black Widow, and it's one of our big shows we do each year now it's the occult show, and it's aerials and burlesque and weird shit this year.
And the theme is occult?
Yes, it's because it's summer, we're gonna have a sub theme. It's occult solstice is gonna be this year's show.
Whoa, okay.
It's gonna be very green witchy vibes. It's gonna be fun.
I'm already suspecting I want to sponsor it and be there. So
that was gonna be my after the podcast question.
So follow both of us and you'll hear more about it come June. At North Door?
Yep, North Door.
Cool. Oh my gosh, yes. Your shows are amazing. So
yeah.
So you do a lot of things. We've covered all. Where did this all start? I'm assuming you were a creative kid, but did you go to art school?
I did. Yeah. I'm a dyslexic, and there wasn't a lot of anything in the 1980s for that. So I was really good at art, and my teachers gave me free range of everything. I had one we got a lot of yarn, just go nuts. So they gave me the closet of yarn, and I started just making stuff when I was 8. But yeah, no, I went
teachers.
I know, I'm so lucky I had those teachers.
Yeah.
Otherwise I would not have got through school.
Yes, I feel sometimes you forget to nurture a child's creativity.
Right.
When it's science, math, which is important, but...
And I love those too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so I got to do that. And then I went to art school in England, which is one of the oldest art schools in England.
What's it called?
It's called BIAD. It's the Birmingham Institute of Art and Design on Margaret Street. And it's where Duran Duran started. So there you go.
Hungry like a wolf.
But they were so good. It was so good there. It was this old arts and crafts building from the turn of the last century, end of I guess the 18th century, 1800s. And it was this beautiful listed building, and you'd get architectural tourists would come by, and there'd be all these scrubby art students drinking hot chocolate and looking terrible and smoking their clove cigarettes outside it. But it was a really good experience. So I got to just do nothing but fine art for 4 years. and it was wonderful.
Did you have to have a concentration, or was it literally you could do anything from painting to costuming? And
this one was I chose fine art originally, so I did a lot of painting and sculpture, and then I did some costumes for a project I was doing in my second year, I think.
Okay.
And then I was like, I think I like doing this more than the other stuff.
Yes, because I definitely, if y'all aren't following her on Instagram, get your ass over there now, because it's just like eye candy perpetually.
I'm a maker of costume porn is what I
Costume
describe as
porn!
pure costume porn all the time.
Yes, you make burlesque costumes, you make shoes.
That's new, and I'm so excited about it.
You just taught yourself?
Yep.
Which makes me think, I don't think I could ever teach myself anything. I don't think I can teach myself how to sew a bag. So the fact that was something you were able to kind of like figure out on your own is very impressive.
I think like if you learn enough different like crafts and skills, everything kind of crosses over.
Yeah.
And people kind of discount that. They're like, well, I'm learning dressmaking. I'm like, did you know that this thing from scrapbooking can help you here? And they're like, why? And I'm like, so.
Yeah, lots of rhinestones.
Right. It's like everything is so interconnected. Like the stuff you use to set an arm is the stuff you would use to make like special effects props. Like,
do you do special effects stuff?
I haven't done anything like that in a long time, but I do make props sometimes. The last thing I made for someone was, it was a last minute change in a pole competition. Their partner dropped out and they had to do a solo. And I made them a Unikitty chair from the Lego movie. And then the head came off and she could wear the head, and it was like a twerking Unikitty. It was like insane.
So it was like a cat mask.
It was like a big pink chair. So it was like it was like a giant Unikitty you could like chair dance on, and then the back, the head came off and she could wear it. And
that sounds complex.
It was so pink, and I was so happy making it. So yeah, that was fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so rad. Yeah, your costumes, because the first time I saw you perform in person was when you had made, it was like a Marie Antoinette type.
Right, the big pink Rococo.
Yes. Oh, that was gorgeous.
It's still being added to.
I noticed like last time you added more rhinestones to like the inside of the skirt.
And there's still more, because that's going to be my my act at the Texas Burlesque Festival this year on May 10th.
Ooh.
So there's going to be more rhinestones and even more ruffles. Maybe it's big and it's heavy and it's ridiculous.
That's so rad. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is not like I bought a leotard and put some rhinestones on it type of stuff. Like you need to reuse your costumes over and over again.
Yeah, I do, and I try to, because
I think
there's like almost 27 or 28 yards of Duchess satin in that thing. Jesus. It's so heavy, it's straight in the hanger.
Oh my god.
It's not even like a cheap hanger, it's like pulled it off and it's like this now.
Oh my goodness.
Like, damn. Alright. Let's add more to that.
Yeah, needs more bells and whistles. And then latex. Okay, so you mentioned in the beginning you've really gotten into latex recently.
Well, gotten more into making it recently, but that's been a love for a very, very young age. Because I grew up in England, where it's a much bigger thing, and
where the history's from. That's an Eddie Izzard line. If anyone.
Eddie Izzard. She's so great. But
sorry, go on.
I grew up, there's a place called Cat House Clothing. It's like a really beautiful latex company, and they were in an industrial park type area around where I used to learn swimming. So I would like go by and I'd see this shop, and I got like, I kind of always wanted to go, but I couldn't drive, and I was like a teenager, like 14, so where am I going to wear that anyway? But so I eventually started making my own, and it has been wonderful.
Wow. And you just did a show in Houston? Was it like a kink show that you...
Yeah, it was one of the big fetish balls they have down there with Cynical Magazine. It was their spring ball, so I did a big sort of runway show, which went great, and I got to talk to a lot of really neat people and meet a bunch of other rubberists, and that was nice, because...
That's the name, rubberist?
It's one of the names, yeah.
Okay.
So and it was cool, because normally I'll show up and I'm like, all right, just me. But there's still actually a decent amount of people into it around Austin too. I just don't run into people as much as I maybe do in Houston for some reason. But
it's a bigger city, you know?
It is. It's big and everyone's cars are loud. It's weird and I love it.
And I bet a lot of awesome people went to that
Yeah,
Houston
there was so many people. There's a lot of people from Austin. I had some of my friends model for me from Austin, and I got to meet some neat new people, and it was really cool. And I got to put together a ridiculously complicated collection for the time I had.
Yeah, I've been looking at it. What was the inspiration behind it?
So there's a couple of fetish illustrators from like they were mostly big, I guess, around like the 20s, 30s for their fetish stuff. But one of them does a lot of work, as far back as like 1910s. And I love their work so much. And I wanted to maybe look at something a little bit older than most people take, their inspiration from and try and this is like pre-latex, a lot of it. It's like a silk and leather fetish type thing at that point, and I wanted to translate that into latex and try and bring that sort of a full circle, modern meets old. And it's Herrick and Carlo for those who are interested in really old school fetish illustration and art.
Who's not? I was gonna ask, or you should be.
Yeah,
because you had like lace elements made out of latex. It was just very like.
I don't have access to a laser cutter, so that was.
Whoa! Yeah,
I got through it, and I'm like, no more lace, no more appliques, and I got started, and I'm like, more lace, more appliques.
Where do you work? Do you have a studio? Do you have a studio in your house? Or
I do now. I used to work off my dining room table when I lived outside DC, and then we found this house here in Austin, and the guy who built it in the 60s was a carpenter, so we had a separate studio built, and it was real gross when we moved in, but I have like this pink sparkly pole and workshop wonderland, and it's just in the back of my house, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Sorry, Dusty, I love you too. That's my husband. And maybe he's a bit better than my studio, but my studio is amazing. It's so great. And it keeps the glitter in one place-ish.
Yes, instead of tracking that all around your dining room table.
It's like the decontamination zone between the studio and my house, so I can shake most of it off.
Oh my gosh. So is it disconnected from your house?
Yeah, it's like its own little standalone building, like in the back there.
How dreamy is that?
It's so nice.
Yeah, because you do, it seems like, you're working a lot in that studio.
Yeah, it's, especially this last month, I haven't really been out of it. I've been like, I wake up, go to the studio, and then 9 o'clock rolls around, and I come home, eat, and go to bed. And it's like...
Do you have any assistants?
No, but I'm hoping to get to the point I can get some, because there's only one pair of hands.
Yeah, students who like want to learn different things. And...
Yeah, like I'm hoping that, the latex stuff has been taking off a lot actually already, which is wonderful. So I'm hoping to hopefully be able to get some people in to help with that down the line. And
cool.
Yeah, because I draft all my own patterns. Like I do every tiny bit from scratch, even my own photography. So it's
wow, you were like punk rock DIY.
Yeah, it's like
all the things.
It's like that meme, isn't it? Where do punk chicks go when they grow older? This is what we do. All of the things still.
Well, it seems like a pretty good life.
Pretty much.
It would be very tedious for me, I'd say. But if you have that patience and...
I do to a point. And then I get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to see another rotary cutter or a glue pot. And then I'll go away and do something like the China painting, like something to just...
Oh, that's good.
Recenter.
Even people who are creative all day for their job still need a non-quote-unquote job outlet for their energy.
Because it's really different. Because I remember I was in the middle of like a really big like crunch cycle, and I was talking to my therapist like about having too much work, and she's like, well, what would you be doing if you weren't sewing all these costumes? I'm like, sewing, but things I didn't have to sew. So it's like there's like this weird difference. Like it's the same activity on paper, but it's like a different brain, I think, for each one.
That makes sense to me.
They're both fun and challenging in their own ways.
Yeah.
But yeah. People come with some weird briefs, and I love it.
Oh, do you take private clients?
Yeah, I take a lot of private clients. That's my bread and butter.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what does this look like? It's mostly like you create these lines and then you sell them at like conventions and online and stuff, but then you're also doing like bespoke costumes and...
Right, yeah.
Pieces. Okay.
So I've got my dance line, which is booty nights, which I've talked about with you, I think, before. So that's like,
that's another line. No, we
that's
haven't
another
talked
line.
about.
There's so much. So
that's a pole dance line.
Yeah. So that's so much is like ready to wear. That I've got a sewing room here in Austin actually that helped me produce that. They're great.
They're like little booty shorts, cute little like I think you're wearing a shirt right now. If anyone's watching this and not listening, but
yeah. So I got that, and then I'm the stuff I do. So I design for that. I do patterns for that, and then my sewing room helps translate it into logical patterns because I am a chaos demon and everything that comes out of me is chaos. So they rein it in because people are like, I don't understand your patterns. I'm like, yeah, there's no, just chaos. But then I custom make for people. I do a lot of pole costumes, aerial costumes, burlesque costumes for people.
Wow.
And like all shapes, sizes, and like all kinds of stuff. And some of the briefs are real, like, that's a head scratcher. But I kind of like those because it's fun and challenging. So
yeah, because you have a very kind of, I would say, feminine, unicorny, cupcake type of aesthetic. But it's always like a bit naughty and cheeky.
Right. Thank you for noticing. People don't get that part.
Oh yes. So it must be very interesting if someone wants like something completely like, I need this in all red and black.
Yes. I had one person who was like, I want my book completely covered and I don't want any bling. And I was just like,
what?
okay, I can do that. But I'm not going to say why are you here, but you might have seen my work. My work is largely buns out, lots of bling. So I got to do something with no buns out and no bling, and it felt very alien, but it was neat.
Whoa!
And it looked really gorgeous, and her piece
turned
was
out
beautiful.
cool.
So I was like, all right.
You use like a different side of your brain. That's what kind of
right. The
makes
one part that's like less butt, and it's like, oh,
less butt.
I never get to use you side of brain. Hi, less butt side. But they were covered and they stayed covered through the whole performance. And I was like,
so you're like showgirl on the stage and behind the scenes.
Yeah, and because I've had a lot of things go wrong over the years with myself, I know when people come and ask for a thing, how they won't get stuck in their costume. I'm like, I'll learn from my mistakes so you don't have to.
That's a good quality, actually. I
never
thought about that.
Especially when people ask for latex, like, I want this, and I'm like, okay, I've been where you are now. And it ended real badly. We can do it. But how comfortable are you with getting stuck on your costume on stage? Not very. This is not the material for you.
Yeah, I would think it's not a striptease type of...
I mean, it can be done, and I've done it. And I made a costume for someone recently, and she did like a glove peel and put it in her mouth and regretted it. And I'm like, that's a lot of sweat. She's like, it was so much sweat in my mouth. But yeah.
So how often are you performing?
I was performing a lot last year, like every other week almost.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was fun, but it was kind of exhausting too. So this year I've been trying to work more on projects that I'm really excited about. So
and what is it about a project that excites you?
Because most shows have like a really heavy theme. So sometimes I take on a theme that wasn't usually my jam just to try and do it, and that was really great. But I think if I'm going to do like a really big costume or a really big production, sometimes I like to put a lot of like time into it, and I don't like being as rushed as I can be sometimes. Mm-hmm. So mostly things are a little more like, I like doing like fetish acts, and I like doing anything costume porny. So I'm trying to get more
costume what?
Costume porn.
Oh, costume porn.
Because sometimes you go like this show is in 3 weeks, and you're like, ooh, that's a tight deadline.
I can't go over and above and drive myself crazy.
I can, but it's not healthy. I have done it. Like the Rococo one, the first time I did that was done in 3 weeks.
Whoa.
Because the show theme was announced whilst I was in England, and I came back, and I was just like, until it was done.
Wow.
I think I was actually still sewing it the day of the show. I'm just like, oh, I hope this works.
Wow. And it did.
It did.
Now you have it to use for many other performances.
But yeah, this year I've been trying to get my like the latex stuff going, and I got so many irons and so many fires. It's hard to keep them all hot sometimes. So I'm trying to find a good balance between everything.
I mean, I think that's a lot of people, especially for creative people.
Especially in this town.
Yes, I know Austin, because there is opportunities to do things, and there's so many people doing new exciting things. You're like, oh, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this. And
it's amazing. Like, I had a guy come over to help fix our roof one time because I had this really bad leak. And he's like, yeah, like I do this during the week, but I also teach computer-aided design at this hackerspace, and I'm a painter. And I'm like, I love this town.
Yeah. Wait, how long have you been in Austin?
5 years? Yeah, almost 5 years, I think.
Wow, okay. So not like a super long time.
No, I wish I'd been here sooner. When I moved to the States, I moved to a place outside Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia, and everyone was like, I do law.
Yeah.
And for fun, I work overtime on law. And I'm like, yeah. I got nothing, my friend.
Is that where Hubs was for work or something?
Oh, God, it was just...
I can't imagine you just picked it out of like your soul.
Everyone, because it's like DC people, so everyone's like military, or like there's lots of lawyers or Congress or that kind of thing. And
I used to live in Baltimore, so not
then
too far
you know.
from DC. Yes.
But yeah, so I like it here a lot more.
It's a little more rigid.
Yes, it felt very stifling.
Even though there are creative pockets there, but here it's kind of like, and something that you know this then, especially having lived in England, which is very, kind of proper, right? They have obviously the like punk started there, and there's obviously so much creativity there, but there is also that kind of like shyness, I guess.
Yes.
And then
still suffer from that.
Yeah. Oh. And then Northeast, and then you come here, and it's like people are a lot more loose and free, and just
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I'm like, wow, I feel like I maybe undershare. I didn't know that was a possibility. All right.
Yeah, and maybe it's just honestly it's cheaper here than it is in DC. Like you have
weirdly, this town is so expensive.
Yeah,
it is very expensive, but
it's getting there for
DC
sure.
DC has gotten incredible. I was just like, my friend sold her house, and I was like, for really
all that?
And she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right.
I just think, the smaller cities are there's you have the ability to be more creative because it's not like constantly having to just make all of the money, which is like a worry about Austin, obviously, if it gets too tech infused and gets too
I'm just like, when Amazon might move here, I'm like, don't move here.
Yes, I remember that too. It's like,
but and that's what I love about here, because I grew up in Leeds, which is a kind of big-ish city in England, and because I find like the really big cities are very competitive, whereas if you got somewhere that's a little smaller, it's more, I guess, communal. Like, that's the one thing I love about Austin. Everyone's working on everything, but everybody's everyone else's best supporter. Mm-hmm. So rather than everyone being like, this is my precious, everyone's like, come, let me...
Only come to my show, don't go to that show.
Right, and everyone I find is very supportive, and it's like one of the most uplifting communities I've ever been a part of. And that's something I love about this town.
That's awesome. And that's also a testament to the energy you put out there, because if you're open like that and you're, wanting to participate in things and be open and help people and allow people to help you, then you're going to draw those people into you. So powerful witchy stuff, like attracts like, all of that.
That's also true. And there's a lot more of it here.
Yeah.
It's like the flames and the moss like, come together. Whereas before you're like, I am a flame, and the one moss like, I don't see it. So it's been really, I haven't been here that long, and everyone's like, I thought you've been here forever. I'm like, I just love everybody here. So
you've met a lot of people doing all of your things.
Yeah.
Because so in your performances, you do burlesque, but you also do pole dance.
Right, yes.
And so that's like a whole other community that you're part of. And aerial, that's a whole other community that you're part of.
I started off in pole. In fact, before I even unpacked. So I was doing ballet up in Virginia. And that was fun. I was having like problems with like vertigo and whatever else. And I was following this blog, and there was a girl who moved to Austin, and she was like, and I took this pole dancing class. And I was like, that looks like fun. So when I moved to Austin, we got most of our furniture in our house, not even all of it at that point. And I called up a pole studio and got some classes. And I started like learning pole here before I even unpacked like my plates.
Wow.
And it was like the best thing. When everyone's like, I can't make friends as a grown-up, I'm like, take pole.
That's very true. I moved here not knowing anyone.
Yeah, I met so many people and everyone was so supportive and wonderful. Like it made
that's great. Yes.
instant community and friends. And I'm like, it seems scary at first, but you go and no one's judgy. It's a very open community, or it has. It was. This is also 5 years ago. I know things have maybe changed a little in some places. Maybe I don't know.
I think from my experience. So when I moved here, that was exactly what people were like. You don't know any. How are you going to meet people? Like I pole, so I just went to all the pole studios and meet people. Yeah. It's just different than say like a yoga class or because I also have taken a bunch of yoga classes and I've taken a bunch of not too many, but I have tried some CrossFit and some more awful things like that. And
I respect those who can do it. I'm just like,
yeah. Well, you're just like, if it's yoga, you're just on your mat kind of having your practice.
It's you in your head and
going through, and you don't even pay attention to the person next to you. And same thing with CrossFit, you're just like, don't die. So like, and it's probably all different styles of dance too, but pole classes also, they're smaller. So it's more intimate. So and you can meet, you get closer to people where if it's like, I've also taken like 40 person dance classes here and you don't know anyone's name and it's just like go. And it's
that's
like,
true, yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, for instance here we have 7 people classes. So it's like, okay, I'm going to know those 7 people by the end of class.
And you see them all the time because if you're in the same level, for example, like eventually you make a lot of friends really quickly and eventually you're going to hold someone's butt or you're going to turn them around once they get their like little like selfie. So it's like this really, it's like a really kind of like intro. I don't think I've ever been to a pole class where people weren't like talking, interacting. Yeah, because like the aerial ones have been similar too. Like it's a very
aerial is probably the same thing because
it's like lifting everyone up physically and emotionally. It's kind of, I love that.
I'm glad that you shared that because I think that's especially making friends as adults is a thing.
It's so hard.
And
I think I had like 3 or 4 in Virginia. I lived there for 11 years, and I was like, "Hi," and they're like, "Ooh, that's a lot of pink and ruffles," and I'm like, "Please love me." But like again, Austin, I was really self-conscious because I gained a lot of weight moving to America and I was not feeling very good in my skin at all. And I was just like, you know what, like sucking is the first step to being good at something. So I'm like, I'm just going to show up and suck. And if I suck really hard and I never go back, I'll never see these people again. But if I suck really badly and get better, and that happened. And I find pole's really accessible because you build all this strength without realizing it. You're just sitting on the floor doing like front kicks. And then the next thing you're like, I got abs. I can do pull-ups. I don't understand.
I always say that I'm like, we're tricking you into working out, but don't use the workout. Don't use the fitness word because it's not the point of it. But you will be a little sore after. And that's just
after my first class, I couldn't move anything.
I couldn't move my
I didn't think I did anything. I was like, oh, that was fun. And I woke up and I was like,
oh,
I didn't know that was a muscle I had.
Yeah.
Let alone that it could hurt.
Like floor work ones. You're like, why are my abs burning?
That's
and you're like, I don't remember.
You get to do like weird sexy shit and then develop weird core strength. And I think if you're not thinking about it so much, your body takes over because your body knows what it needs to do sometimes. And I find that's one of the, because sometimes you're like, and you can't get it when you're like really, like the yips, the more you think about it, the less you can do it. So if you're just like, woo, 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 and then your body kind of like naturally takes over a little bit, like almost like primal movement instinct type
primal thing. Getting in touch with your body, allowing type of things.
Yeah, I love
not
that
fighting it. Yeah, so that's, you're a good example, okay, like I moved somewhere, I wanted to do all the things, and now 5 years later, you're so entrenched in everything.
Yeah, and then I was looking back, I think I've only been performing like 4 years or something like that.
Is that true? You didn't perform in Virginia?
No,
I had no idea.
I designed for other people. I designed for like pinups and things like that, and I did a lot of stuff in England. But then when I moved to Virginia, I didn't have any connections, and it just felt almost impossible to make any, because we were like in the suburbs, and if you've ever driven in the DC metro area, you know that means you're on the moon. Because people like to talk about Austin traffic, but at least y'all respect turn signals. It was so stressful up there. So yeah, when I moved here, I like doing behind the scenes stuff, but I like doing, in front, and I got to do both. And it was like, all right, all of the things.
What's your sign? What's your sun sign?
Can you guess?
Is it Leo?
No, it is Gemini.
It's a Gemini. Okay.
Yeah, everyone's like, you're a Gemini. I'm like, am I talking too much again?
Because I just see you being very like, out there, you're very...
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, I could see Gemini as well.
But I also have like the weird introversion. I'm like, I'm just going to sit at home and do this, which is great for getting down and doing a latex show.
Well, that's how you get things done. Because if you're like, need to go out, need to be on stage now, you wouldn't get all those rhinestones. So.
Exactly. I'm still an old lady. So I'm like, I did the thing. I'm going to nap now for 3 days. With my cats in my jammies.
Oh, wow. So it's like, it's just exhausting just hearing all the things you do, but like everything you do is it's so well thought out. It's so well done, and it's just so creative. Like it's just such a joy to like all of the creative energy you bring.
I love history and I love literature and I love art history, and I like to bring all of that together, and everyone's
you can tell that influence.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to go on stage and take my clothes off, but if you catch me afterwards, I will tell you 3 literary references, other fine art points that, and I'm like, this, like, I did not know you had like a sketchbook. This, I'm like, it is deep.
Yeah, that's where like that's what inspires you.
Yeah, so I mean, like for a dyslexic person, I love reading.
Cool.
So that was, I read a lot. Slowly, but a lot.
Yeah. Do you do the audiobooks and stuff while you're working so you can learn stuff? Okay.
But I have a really hard time focusing, so I will. If anyone ever wants to work with me, I hope you're ready to listen to the same song, maybe 3 songs for a whole day or even a week.
There's probably some meditative thing about that.
Because I got like the tempo, it's like one it's whatever energy I'm trying to put into my work. So I'll put those songs on like literally on loop, and I'll just keep working.
There's some brain synapses thing happening there for sure.
And that helps. Like if I can't work in silence, and I tried like, I could learn with books, and I was like, oh.
And then you're just
but the tempo was off, and I couldn't find my groove. So
that's interesting. Okay, that's
3 songs on loop, and I'm like,
little trick. Okay, I like that. I like that ritual. All right. Well, let's move on into those final questions. I'm not good at segues. I was like, cool. New question, so I'll work on that. But we have questions that we ask everyone, and I am just so curious to see what Miss O'Kist has on her brain. So, what is your personal mantra?
Okay, this is the least elegant personal mantra anyone's ever going to bring, probably, but it is slow the fuck down.
Slow the fuck down.
I am a very frenetic person, so I like to remember to slow the fuck down so I don't rush my work, whether I'm making a creative project because you want to be at the end and have the thing, or when I'm performing, I get ahead of myself, so it's always just slow the fuck down.
That's
just
good.
Get in the moment and do the things slower, because I'm always rushing to the next thing and I gotta stop it.
Allows you to be more present, which is always the challenge, right?
It really is. And the present's where the interesting stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Because when the future stuff happens, it's the present. So
so now you have to think about the future after that.
Exactly.
It's a vicious cycle. What is your favorite sensuous indulgence?
Oh, honestly, oh God, how personal we get on this.
You share all the things. We're a little coven here. Yeah.
Big fan of all things whippy. I like. That's Miss O'Kist is my name and also my nature. So
where did Miss O'Kist come from?
It's actually a play on the word masochist and on classical erotic literature, the story of Miss O kissed. It is not soup. Everyone's like, I thought it was to do with soup, and I'm like, I love soup, but no.
I love that. So are you in the kink bondage community here? Is that more just a personal practice? Or?
It's been more of a personal thing. I'm trying to get out there more, but my partner is a very introverted person, deeply introverted. So I don't get out as much as maybe I would do otherwise. But it's been a big part of my makeup since I was really young, and it wasn't always a welcome part of it, I guess, growing up. And then when I started doing burlesque and pole, I was like, no, I'm going to be me. So
then you were allowed to like express that.
So I kind of like, it's like backdated glitter for all the time that like younger me did not get to do their thing. I'm like putting it all out there loud.
That's cool. And I feel like your latex collection is like bringing you into these communities more so.
Like I got like close personal friends more so than like a large community, but I got, you know, friends who I'm like connected with, and it's fun.
That's super cool. I meant to ask you where your name came from, so I'm glad that came
soup.
up. Not soup. Where are they getting soup from?
I think it's because Facebook wouldn't let me have Miss as a name. So it got like truncated to Miss O as like one name, which is like miso. And that's where that came from. And then someone reported me because they didn't like my opinions on some debate. And to that person, whoever you are, thank you. Because I had to prove that I use this name in real life. So I gave them contracts. I gave them letters. I gave them all of this stuff. And they were like, oh, well, you're going to have to spell it like this. And I was like,
let
Thank
me.
you.
Wow, you got in touch with Facebook support. Good, that is.
Whichever misogynist out there reported me, thank you. You fixed my name and you saved my career.
Yes, and you're no longer the soup lady.
I'm no longer the soup lady. I'm now the I didn't get that lady.
Oh, very good story. Okay, so what is something that you are currently manifesting?
Chaos, but I am trying to rein it in. I'm trying to find, I got lots of paths like we talked about, so I'm trying to find which path will give me the most sustained satisfaction, because I jump a lot. I'm like, this month I'm into shoes, today I'm into teacup making, now I'm going to study bicycle making or whatever, and I need to find my one focus that I won't get tired of, and I'm trying to find...
So you're manifesting a bit more focus.
Find my path, I think, yeah.
I mean, everything you do, like, so we had Shakti Bliss Bunny on last episode, and she is very chaos in all that she does too, but it all
fits together.
It does all fit together, because she's like, you know, a doula, but a yoga instructor, but like a rope bondage person, and it's like somehow she's like, you just breathe. It's all about breathing through discomfort. Yes. And I was like, whoa, you just, you know. And so what you do a lot, but it does all make sense. It all
comes back to the same things, yeah.
Yeah, so it must be hard to be like, what I see how these can all feed off of each other.
It's just like you said, there's only so many hours in a day, and even if I quit sleeping and eating, I do too much. And I know I'm going to have a new hobby by like the summer. Because I've been thinking I'm like, honey, I'm going to take up shoemaking. He's like, oh God.
What's your husband do? I'm curious.
He's like a tech guy.
Okay, so it's that yin and yang type of balance.
We are polar opposites.
That's important.
Pretty much, we have like the same core beliefs, but as a person, we're so... It's like, Leslie Knope and Ron Swanson. That is basically my marriage. And but we've been married for like, we're working on year 17. So
wow.
It works out.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that. Could you imagine if you were with someone with as much... you would just be like, no, I'm this person. You need to be that other person, and like think about how much like joy you bring to his life with all of like your creativity. And... Together
we work separately. A friend of mine, they're a couple, were the opposite way around. She was very organized, and he was just like super like creative chaos demon. And he just turned to her one day and he was like, if me and Vivian had got married, we'd live in a car, eat cereal, and die. I'm like, you're not wrong. I need like the yang to my yin on this one, because otherwise it would be a life of Lucky Charms, and we wouldn't make it.
Living in a van down by the river.
Not for long. Like, I can't exist as a human.
Oh, that's awesome. But
yeah, too many shinies.
Yeah, well, you found someone that brings that balance to your life, so that's good.
I don't drive him insane, which is... No, I do drive him insane, but in a way that he can bounce back from. Like, he's like sitting there going, she drives me insane.
Oh, well, he sounds fantastic.
He's lovely.
He's a very lucky man to have you.
Aww.
And final question, what is, and this is good because you're kind of like, 5 years here, you've seen the things, but you know to be like fresh-eyed about it. What's one thing in Austin everyone should check out?
Oh my God, there's so many things. One of my favorite places to go if I'm feeling sad is Room Service Vintage.
We got a lot of things from the studio at Room Service Vintage.
I love that place. I punked my sister with clown art from that place. And if I'm feeling blue, I'll go there because there's always some weird
I want to
thing.
say this chair is from there. I feel really strongly that this chair is definitely from there. Yes. You're sitting in a room service vintage
That
chair.
makes me so happy. Yeah, half my house is from there. The first thing I got for my house was this weird, it's like an old soft toy that someone I think handmade, but like the face is so unimpressed. It's going like, so I call it whatever, but it's like rolling its eyes, and I don't know who made that design choice. I don't think it was a choice. I think it just happened. But that's the first thing I bought when I moved to Austin, and it's been like my happy place ever since, because I find a whatever bunny every time I go there.
Yeah, this is a like vintage store on North Loop.
Yes.
And so they have clothing, they have home decor, they have tchotchkes and
Fabric.
And they have fabric.
If I haven't already gone and bought all the good fabric.
I was gonna say we have some of our curtain hanging fabric in the studio.
Yeah, I got
is
some
from
great
room
fabric.
service. Yeah, I find some good Asian inspired.
And this is going to sound like the most weird, perverted thing to recommend to a
Ooh.
tourist. Visit their bathroom. Oh my God.
I've never been in their bathroom.
You have to go to their bathroom. So people would like loiter in there. So to make them not, the owner filled it with like what was supposed to be a nightmare apparition of bunnies. It's like hot pink, and there's just like insane bunny faces. They have like vintage bunny everything. And it's an sensory overload of like kitsch, which is almost like if you were to tear my heart open, you would find this bathroom inside of it. It's just, and I was just like, I think my friend has a picture of me opening the door and going, and I love that picture because it's a true, pure expression of joy. So sometimes I will just go and get the key and go look in this bathroom just to see my happy place. So my recommendation, things everyone must see, room service, vintage's bathroom.
Very specific. I like it. Put it on your list if you haven't been there already.
Yes.
Well, Miss O'Kiss, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Today. It was so great having you on, and thank you everyone for listening or watching.
Thank you for listening.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Take pole classes.
Thank you for joining us for the Minx Muse podcast. You can find show notes and learn more about the studio at www.minxandmuse.com. Go get your life, boo, and we'll see you again soon.